Hi everyone, this is Anu Law. I'm the head of the department Corporate Handling and Content.
And this is Harshit Goel, member of the CHC department.
From the Roundtable Karori College, I warmly welcome all of you on behalf of the entire college to present you in front of us Lieutenant Colonel Jasinder Singh Sodhi, sir. I warmly welcome you on behalf of the entire college in the first episode of our limited series of October on the theme War Echoes. Our society, the Roundtable, is centered on the motto dialogue across disciplines and strive to bring a holistic understanding of ourselves and the world around us, mainly by engaging in interdisciplinary interactions and changes. Hence, today we have with us retired Lieutenant Colonel Jasinder Singh Sodhi. A very good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us for an exclusive interview on the sad yet crucially important.
Jai Hind Anu, Jai Hind Ashad. It's my honor and privilege to be speaking on this esteemed platform, and a very good morning to all the viewers too.
He currently holds the position of editor at the Global Strategic and Defense News and has been recognized with a certificate of appreciation by the India's Book of Records. Lieutenant Colonel Sodhi's extensive military experience and role in shaping global strategic discourse make his insights valuable. As we delve into the intricacies of the military strategy and the harsh realities of conflicts, his perspectives promise to enlighten and inspire. Join us for the thought provoking interview as we navigate the complex terrain of the global defense with a seasoned expert.
Sir, can you please provide us with an overview about this transition from your experience from going from a lieutenant colonel, retired lieutenant colonel now, and going to writing so many articles and like being presented in interviews and newspapers, and how there has been a drastic change of you writing so many stuff and getting into this writing career of yours?
Anu, I took premature retirement, or what they call the word voluntary retirement in the civil life. In the army, it is called as a premature retirement or PMR. So I took premature retirement on 3rd of February 2013. And that time I never thought that I'll come into the media or I'll even have my own publication. I had taken premature retirement from the army to work in the corporate. I worked for 3 years in the corporate, and then I came to know that the army gives a security agency through the Director General of Resettlement as a resettlement venture to the retired officers and soldiers of the army. So 5 years I ran the security agency which I got through the army. My foray in the media was just out of the blue. In fact, 6 years back, I had requested a colleague of mine who appears in one or two channels, and I should see him, coming on the channel. So I also had this desire to come for 1 minute on the national media. So I requested him, and he told me, "Definitely, I'll get you. You are not only my batchmate, but you're also from my school. I have a lot of regards for you. I'll definitely get you in the media. I'll give you the contact number of the person, and you contact them, and they'll take you on the media." I was very happy hearing that. But 3 days passed, and he didn't reply. And then I sent him a simple WhatsApp message that you had told me you'll be giving the number, but he didn't reply to that message either. So I realized probably doesn't want to help me out. And then I thought not all dreams and desires are fulfilled in life, and maybe this is one of them. I forgot about it totally. Things changed on 8th of December 2021 when there was a helicopter crash near Kunur, near Wellington, in which the then Chief of Defense Staff of the Indian Armed Forces, General Bipin Rawat, his wife, and eight
Yeah.
other soldiers were traveling, and the helicopter crashed. And in the 14 WhatsApp groups that I'm in, my family, my school, my NDA, IMA, regiment, etc., someone or the other immediately posted this message in all the 14 WhatsApp groups that helicopter crash has taken place in Kunur and CDS is on board. And this happened around 1:30 in the afternoon on 8th of December 2021. After some time, somebody posted that a flight manifest. A flight manifest is a part of a army document in which whenever the dignitaries travel in an aircraft or a helicopter, the list is made out all those who are traveling. So somebody posted the flight manifest of all the 10 people who were on board, and in that one name was Brigadier L.S. Lidder. When I read that name, something in me broke because I knew Brigadier Lidder from my school days. He was 1 year senior to me in Kendriya Vidyalaya Mau, where my father was posted that time. And he used to stay in the block opposite our block in the officers' married accommodation. And we were very good friends, we were very good family friends, and we knew each other for decades. So when I read Lidder's name, I mean, something, just shivered in me, shattered in me. And I just kept on praying, I hope all the 10 come out alive. Around 7:30 in the evening, all the media channels broke the news that everyone on board except one officer have died. And I really collapsed at that time because amongst them was my very close friend, Brigadier Lidder. So, as a mark of respect, I wrote a small 4-5 line WhatsApp message which said that I knew Brigadier Lidder. He was 1 year senior to me in Kindrividale Mau, a good officer, and his nickname was Tony. And I wrote RIP Tony. And the same message I posted in all the 14 WhatsApp groups that I'm in. At around 11:30 in the night on 8th of December, I got a call from Mr. Nardeep Dhaiya, who's the editor of First Post, and he told me that I would like you to write an article on Brigadier Lidder since you know him so well. I had no experience of writing in the national media at all. And next day morning, I got up with whatever was there in my heart. I just penned it down and I emailed him the article. It was published. And thereafter, my foray into the print media started. But I never ventured towards the geopolitics or the defense issues because I always thought there are much greater people than me in this field, and it won't be possible for me to even try to match up with them. So I kept on writing articles which were non-geopolitical in nature, non-defense in nature, just normal incidents in the army like flood relief or earthquake relief, those kinds. Last year on 24th February, when Russia invaded Ukraine, at 10:40 in the night, when I was just finishing the dinner with my wife in my residence, I got a call from a news channel, and the person said, "Sir, we have been reading your articles, and we would like you to come on air and speak on the Russia-Ukraine war." I said, "Fine." I said, "When is it?" He said, 11 o'clock. I thought he's talking about next day, 11 o'clock. But when he sent me the Zoom link, it was after 20 minutes. And to be very frank, I knew nothing about Russia-Ukraine at all. I didn't even know that they've gone to war. But because a opportunity came, I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I took the opportunity. I went live and I spoke whatever I could from my common sense. That's it. And I thought that is the first and last time that a channel would call me because they would have guessed I knew nothing. But that was not to be. From next day onwards, I started getting calls from various channels. Today, I'm on 55 international and domestic news channels with an average of 8 shows a day. My name features in the World Book of Records, London, the India Book of Records, and I was part of a panel discussion organized by the University of Nottingham last year. I've spoken in various universities as part of the conclave which take place, whether Devi Ahilya with Vishwavidyalaya in Indore or Amity University in Noida. So this is how my journey started. I had never even planned it for one iota. Thing just started falling into place. And my advice to all the viewers who are watching this esteemed program is never miss any opportunity that comes your way.
Thank you so much, sir. That's actually a very great eye view about it. I think the journey of you from being a lieutenant colonel, retiring, then trying to go into corporate world, and then coming back to like media, and how it actually like it was as if like it was destiny or something, and how basically never actually gave up. Like as soon as the opportunity came, you literally grabbed the opportunity, and that's a great idea for to present in front of the youth like us, which are majorly scared of opportunities in this particular view. So, like jumping onto the topic directly, we hear that there are great amount of wars happening, right? There's some statistics which also I was also shocked when I searched this up. They say that approximately 32 conflicts are ongoing right now. They range a lot from say drug wars or say civil wars, etc. Civil war example, Sudan right now, and like Russia, Ukraine can be also a great example of how wars have been continuously increasing. So, sir, in terms of India's response to that, how has India's involvement in these recent conflicts impacted its like global standing and the power of dynamics that majorly exist? Because we see that India's foreign policy has changed quite a lot, especially with respect to the today's globalized world. So, sir, what are your views regarding this?
Anu, in spite of being an army man, I always say that uh, wars are not a solution to any problem, because in any war, only two categories of people suffer: the common citizens and the soldiers. And having seen so many of my colleagues who lost their life and limbs, it leaves a great void which can never, be fulfilled. So, war at any cost should be avoided. But like you rightly said, there are 32 conflicts going on in different parts of the world. And if we go to the basics of every conflict, all the problems were easily solvable by sitting across the table. But somebody took a strong stand, somebody had a strong ego, and that resulted in wars in which countless people have died and billions worth of property, of dollars worth of property has been destroyed. As far as India is concerned, right from 1947, we have had a policy of being neutral and non aligned, which has stood us in great state. We have seen how, when the Russia Ukraine war started last year, there was immense pressure on us not to buy the Russian oil. Yet, we did not succumb to the international pressures because our political leadership took decision which had only two connotations: what is good for our national interest and what is good for our national security. And because of this strong and pragmatic stand that our political leadership took, today, India is regarded with great regards and respect the world over. Even our enemy nations, Pakistan and China, and I've got no qualms about calling them as enemy nations, because of these two nations, many of our common citizens and soldiers have died. So even when last year the Russia-Ukraine war started and India not only evacuated 23,000 of its own citizens, we also evacuated 147 foreign citizens of 18 different countries, which included citizens of Pakistan too. In fact, the Pakistanis, when they were running from Ukraine, they had the Indian flag on their vehicles because they knew this is one flag in which a missile or a rocket will not be, put at. So the point I'm making is, today India commands a great respect in the international forum because of the strong policies, strong foreign policies that we followed since 1947, and every subsequent political leadership and prime minister of the country has ensured that the foreign policy of India remains strong, we remain neutral, we remain non-aligned, and that is the reason every country in the world today gives us great respect.
Right, sir. Sir, in terms of how you explain to us that majorly war is not the solution, but we do end up seeing that because people want to save their ego, people want to defend their ego, and they do end up going into wars. Sir, according to you, then do you think that there is actually any peace building activity which could ever like come into being? Because like people want to always be at the top of the world, right? They want to be the major power in the world, and like say USA being the power right now, and how China always wants to back this up and wants to go above USA and is always in a direct contact directly against USA. So do you think any kind of peace building then can occur in today's scenario?
Well, it is very natural for a person or for a nation to become over ambitious, at times use certain methods to achieve the number one position, which is very natural to happen with anyone. But why we are seeing so many conflicts is because the top making international body, that is the United Nations, is toothless, because of a simple reason that the P5 countries have a veto power. Now, when there is a veto power, obviously important resolutions do not get through. What happens is dictated by these P5 countries. So, to achieve world peace, it is important that there are structural changes in the United Nations where, firstly, the veto power system is done away with. There should be, like every country has a democracy, most of our countries have democracy where, there's a rule of law and there is nothing called veto power. But strangely, in United Nations, there is something called veto power, which has allowed such conflicts to taken place. So firstly, major structural changes are needed in the United Nations where this veto power system should be done away with. Secondly, till date, whether the United Nations or any other major international organizations have not been able to come on a common term to define terrorism. What is terrorism for one country is deemed as a freedom fight for another
Mhm.
country. So that is where the lacuna comes in. And till the time this problem also is not solved, these strikes will happen, these conflicts will happen. So these are two major changes. If they are done or they're implemented, we will see immense peace in the world. And every part of the world today is volatile. They may not be in war, but they are on the brink of a war. I would like to draw your attention to an article published in Win Vi Pu, which is a Chinese government newspaper published from Hong Kong. This article was published on 8th July 2013, and the title of this article is Six Wars That China Will Fight in the Next 50 Years. And all these six wars are in Asia and the Indo Pacific region. The first among these six wars is a US China war over Taiwan, which has been said in a statement by the director of CIA, America's intelligence agency, on 3rd February this year, William Burns, that in 2027, China and US will go to war over Taiwan. The third in the series of six wars is in 2035, when Pakistan will attack India for Jammu and Kashmir, and at the same time, China will attack India for Arunachal Pradesh. So we think that the era of wars is over. It is not over. The tough wars are yet to come. And I'm not saying this just on the basis of this one article. All timelines are pointing towards these six wars. So until and unless the top making international body like the United Nations doesn't see structural changes on an operational immediate basis, these wars, these conflicts will continue. One more point I would like to make is that there's a lack of implementing the international laws, because some countries sign the international treaties, some do not. As a result, some countries are able to make mayhem for their own vested interest, and some countries always suffer. So, till the time certain changes are not done, uh, I have my doubt that the world will ever see peace.
Sir, you being a seventh generation army veteran, so asking you from a military perspective, the rise of a multipolar world, like with distinct power blocks like the Middle East, China, and even India coming to the power with more relevance than before, does this strengthen or weaken the process of the peacekeeping?
Well, Harshad, when we have a multipolar world where there are many power blocks which are standing, there is there's bound to be a conflict of interest, because what may be seen as a way to gain power by one block may not be in the interest of the other block. And this we are seeing happening all over the world. Ever since USA got its independence in 1776, it has directly or indirectly taken part in 201 wars and conflicts. This means any major war or conflict happening, USA always takes part in it, whether directly or indirectly by supplying arms. Because arms is a big lobby, is a big industry in the United States of America. So there is this great dichotomy which happens where on one hand we say there should be a multipolar world, but when multipolar world is created, there are so many poles which spring up, and each pole is fighting with the other. So this is primarily, again, I come to my basic point, that this is primarily because there are no international laws, there is no top international body which has got teeth to fight such cases, and that's the reason we are seeing bloodbath every other I would say month happening. There's so many crores worth of properties being destroyed. That is because no one international forum or agency has the teeth to tackle it. So until and unless one body is not given the teeth and power to tackle such issues, you know, these things will happen. In fact, things are going to get worse, because as we see the timelines, things are not very happy in the times ahead.
Right, sir. I totally agree that there's a lack of international laws and there's a lack of, say, the definition of terrorism which does exist in today's scenario, especially when you give importance to ideas like social fighting for social causes and social protests and etc. If another country has a totally different view of what maybe these people are doing, if one country is considering them terrorists and the other country is considering them like fighters and for freedom fighters etc., it becomes highly difficult because now they are totally two different opposite stands by these countries. Also, sir, in terms of these like wars in terms of Israel Palestine and how you, as you mentioned about India Pakistan and India China fighting over land issues, so do you think then these colonial ideas, like say for India, how the border problems in the time of independence, now they have come about to like a time where we India is fighting with two majorly countries, one Pakistan and one China, in terms of, say, which particular land belongs where. So, sir, do you think then these colonial, say, problems which existed such a long time ago, and their ability to not actually do partition at a, at a stage where there was certain kind of direct idea as to which particular area is which countries, right? Because in terms of India, Pakistan, the share scene. So, do you think then colonization still has a role to play in these wars?
Well, Anu, definitely yes. Whether we take the Israel-Palestine ongoing war or whether we take the tensions between India, Pakistan, China, this all the creation of the colonial powers which were there at that time, and that is Great Britain. If we firstly talk about 2 minutes on this Israel-Palestine issue, uh, like some people are trying to project it as a war of two religions. Well, this isn't a war of two religions. It is a war on political issues whose seeds were sown in the 19th century, and they were aggravated by France and Britain during World War One. I would like your viewers, whenever they have time, they should read 3, 4 documents which will, give them the right light about this ongoing Israel-Palestine war. One is the McMahon Hussein correspondence of 1915 and 1916. Then is the Balfour Declaration of 1917. And third is the United Nations Partition Plan for Palestine of 29 November 1947. And also there's a very good book by David Hurst whose title is A Gun and the Olive Branch, Roots of Violence in the Middle East. Well, all these documents clearly bring out that it was Britain who had sown the seeds of this conflict of Israel-Palestine, because of which we are seeing endless people dying. And as we speak, there are so many dying today also. If we come to India, Pakistan, China, again, it is the creation of Britain. Because Pakistan, in the first place, shouldn't have been created as a nation. But because Britain wanted to create Pakistan as an independent nation because it feared the rise of India in the times ahead, it created Pakistan, though there were hardly any voices who were supporting the creation of Pakistan at that time. As far as India China is concerned, Britain did not delineate the boundary between India and China that time, because of which the fissures are still evident till date. So Britain purposefully did all this because it wanted to leave the nations it once ruled in turmoil, so that, firstly, these nations never get powerful enough. Secondly, Britain thought that by leaving such problems for them in the future, our role will always be at an importance, because they will always come back to us to seek
Mm.
help in some form or the other, which is evident by the Israel Palestine war, where Israel is purchasing arms from the United Kingdom also. And if we see Pakistan purchases arms from the United Kingdom as well as USA. So they basically played I would say, a very different game, a very deadly game, because of which till today so many countries the world across are suffering.
So we have observed in the present time, like during the wars, there are various sanctions which are put by the countries, like especially during the Russia-Ukraine war. The European Union and the USA had put various sanctions on Russia. So do you think that this tactic was useful in any way, or did it bring more harm to the European Union?
Well, Arshad, the economic sanctions have never worked in the past, and they'll never work in the future. One of the biggest examples is Iran. Iran has been put under so many economic sanctions by USA, but till today Iran is has got a strong economy. In fact, on 2nd of October this year, CIA said that in 2 weeks' time, Iran can manufacture its nuclear bomb. We see the Russia-Ukraine war, so many economic sanctions were put on Russia, but Russia's bank figures are increasing day after day. Their oil purchase has increased. China, they are threatening to put economic sanctions on China if China, does a war on Taiwan. China knows very well it is a manufacturing hub of the world. No economic sanctions can work on it. So economic sanctions have never worked anywhere. They will never work anywhere. What needs to be done is a problem has to be solved in its entirety. It has to be a holistic solution to solve the problem, which these major power nations do not do it for their vested interest. Like if we take the case of the ongoing Israel-Palestine war, there are only three major geopolitical powers in the world, that is USA, Russia, and China. These three countries can stop the ongoing Israel Palestine war. They can also help resolve the Israel-Palestine issue. But these three countries aren't interested. US is not interested because Israel is purchasing arms in huge numbers from USA. The Arab nations are purchasing arms from Russia and China. So all the three major geopolitical powers are benefiting at the cost of the rivers of blood which are flowing in Israel and Palestine. So it is these three countries majorly who have to play a major role in ensuring world peace. But sadly, I don't see these three countries playing any kind of a role in bringing world peace. Rather, they always add fuel to the fire, and once the fire reaches unimaginable proportion, then it becomes a threat to humanity and to mankind.
Right, sir. Sir, with respect to how they are state actors and how we can hold them responsible, but then there are also non-state actors and how majorly they can go ahead and like acquire weapons, etc., especially nuclear weapons. I think nuclear weapons act as a deterrence only if two of the countries have both of them. Say, for example, India has nuclear weapons, and say USA also. So even though USA has greater amount in larger way, so let's take examples of USA and Russia. I think both of them are aware that they have like nuclear weapons, so they both deter from using them, right? And India has this policy that they won't use any kind of weapon until and unless, say, the front or the person who is like enemy is using them. So, sir, what happens if when non-state actors access these weapons, etc.? Especially, say, buying of weapons is something which has been like increasing in today's world. People are trying to find out various ways of developing nuclear arms and etc. So, sir, if these non-actors acquire these nuclear weapons and etc., there would be various new challenges in like ways or which would be causing harm to the peace and etc. So, sir, what is your view on this?
Well, Anu, these non-state actors are actually state actors, just that they've been given a name of non-state actors because officially the government of that country doesn't take responsibility for such
Mhm.
organizations. If you take Pakistan, though Pakistan always says whenever there's an attack on India, terrorist attack on India, it says they are non-state actors, but they are very well the Pakistani state actors because whether it's Jaish-e-Mohammed, it is Hizbul Mujahideen, they all are functioning openly in Pakistan. So this non-state actor is a word coined by certain countries to save themselves from the official problems which can arise. But one good thing till date has been that these so-called non-state actors have not been able to get their hands on the nuclear weapons, though they
Yeah.
have every other weaponry under their belts, be it armor tanks, be it helicopters, everything. If we take the case of Myanmar, on the northern borders, they have a organization called UWSA, the United Wa State Army, which is totally funded by China. It operates in Myanmar, and in the regions that it operates in Myanmar, the Myanmar army cannot enter. The UWSA has helicopters, armor tanks, infantry combat vehicles, and the latest weaponry. So these non-state actors are very powerful in most of the countries that they are functioning in. The only thing, like I said, is till date they haven't been able to get hold of the nuclear weapons because of the strict, nuclear technology bans and checks and balances which are in place the world over. But in my personal opinion, I don't think this time is going to last very soon. We may
Mhm.
see these so-called non-state actors procuring nuclear weapons because today, unlike in the past when uneducated people would become terrorists, today there are educated people becoming terrorists who are engineers, who are MTechs, who are PhDs, who are super qualified. So when brains like them are joining the terrorist organization on the non-state actors, there is clearly a warning bell that till today they may not have been able to lay a hand on the nuclear weapon, but the times ahead can be different because as more and more people get sucked into this terrorism thing and who are so educated, they will definitely misuse the brains. And that is where it is very important for the youth of today, and as I speak to so many of you who are watching this program, that it is very important to realize in life to have a focused approach, to read politically non-aligned books and articles. Because if you read politically non aligned books and articles, you will realize your thinking will be very, very confident. It will not be partisan. You'll be able to analyze a situation in its holistic manner. And how do you differentiate between a politically non aligned author's work and a politically aligned author's work is very simple. In a politically aligned author's work, the language used will be very verbose. It'll have a lot of linguistic terms. There'll be hardly any facts. But if you read a politically non-aligned author, his or her works will have simple language. There'll be no jingoistic language. It'll have a lot of facts and figures. And when you cross check those facts and figures, you'll find yes, this person has written the correct thing. So today, as the youth has so many opportunities in life with smartphone with everyone, at the click of the finger, anything is available. Every latest information is available. It also becomes important for the youth of today to understand that for some people, making a youth wean away from the societal norms is a business, which many of us don't realize. And as we get sucked into this quagmire, there's only death and destruction ahead. So whether it is, following people who always try to provoke by writing jingoistic things, whether on Twitter, whether on social media, or through the articles and books, it only weans away a person from the normal life. And let me tell you something from my personal experience. Leading a simple life, leading a healthy life gives you that amount of happiness and kick which the other things will never give you. So, as all of you are so intelligent, so educated, so well focused, use your might, use your brains, use your energy for the positive things. And I'm sure that as each one of you does this, the chances of the educated people going towards the terrorism side will drastically reduce, and hence the chances of such terrorist organizations laying their hands on nuclear weapons will decrease to a great extent.
Completely agree with your viewpoint, sir. It is the youth of the present time which has to decide where they have to move towards the future. Sir, in your years of the journalism experience, how have you observed that the India's foreign image evolving during the times of conflict? And what factors do you believe that play a significant role in shaping this image?
Well, Harshad, I have found that in the time that I've been in the media, the respect of India in the international forums has increased manifold. And that is because that our political leadership under Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ensured that no action is taken which is detrimental against India's national interest and national security. And that would have upset some major nations initially, but then eventually they realized the goodness of what we were doing. I would like to draw a parallel with a common person's life. When we were in school or college, we found there were some people who were over smart, who knew everything, who we thought that this guy will make it big in life. But eventually, most of them did not. Rather, none of them made it big in life. Those who employed, other ways or dubious ways to achieve success, because eventually the law caught up with them. But those simpletons who had a fixed approach, who ensured that they follow the rules of life, the rules of society, they have excelled. And this I'm telling after observing for the last 52 years that I've been on planet Earth, seeing my classmates from three schools that I studied in, my army batchmates. Anyone who was sincere to the job, the task, to the societal norms has excelled in life. And the same rule applies on a larger platform to a nation. When a nation exercises self restraint, it exercises policies which are only good for itself, not only good for itself, but good for humanity as such. It slowly starts gaining respect. Let us take the case of China. There are 195 countries in the world, out of which 193 countries are part of the United Nations. China has given loans to 166 countries, out of which 40 countries are in financial debt today. Because whenever China gives a loan, it gives loan on predatory policies. It expects something in return for any help that it gives. With India, it is the opposite way around. Whenever we help somebody because our sabhyata, our sanskriti, our sanskar teaches us. We never expect anything in return. And that is why today every country the world over respects us, because they know India will never deceive us. India will never play double games with us. India will do what it says. So, the same way, when a country has good foreign policies, sound foreign policies, in the initial few years, it may not get the recognition, but eventually the goodness starts getting recognized. And this is what is happening with India today. Our strong foreign policies, whose seeds were sown in 1947 after independence, has started bearing fruit, and today we are respected internationally.
Right, sir. Totally agreed. India has developed great amount of respect because of the foreign policy it follows, and India's reputation overall is well aware from the way people respect our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and how he has been one of the say most liked leader of all over the world. Sir, just one last thing we would like to ask in like this interview, and this will be the last question we'll be ever asking. So, in terms of this is more of a personal based question. In terms of how you see that how majorly there's been large amount of suffering in these wars and etc. A lot of people die. There have been large amount of economic crisis to the poor people, and like great amount of say negative effects and consequences that come to both the parties involved in wars. None of them is getting any kind of profit and etc. So with that in mind, so in terms of how you have also talked about how majorly the poor people are the ones which majorly suffer in this particular thing. So, sir, do you think that any kind of say war crisis that majorly India would ever go in with respect to these things? Because like India never has this policy of coming into war with any country, but with respect to the like the surroundings are developing, with the way the environment is majorly pressurizing India and etc. In terms of how India even did an airstrike, which was not war obviously, but it was against say the type of things that they did in return to all those things that they did, right? So do you think that airstrikes are something similar to wars, or they might be the solution in terms of dealing with non-state actors and etc.?
Well, Anu, I'll answer your question two parts. First is India is staring at a two-front war. Rather, it's a 2.5 front war. In 2035, like I said sometime back, Pakistan and China are to attack us, and we'll also have the internal terrorism to deal. So it makes a 2.5 front war, and all timelines are pointing towards this 2.5 front war. I would like to take 2 minutes to describe this. If we work backwards in the timeline, 2032 is when China has uh, decided to upgrade its infrastructure in the Xinjiang and the Tibet provinces which border India. 2030 is the time when China has planned to construct three warships, 21 nuclear submarines, and three aircraft carriers, 21 nuclear submarines, and 200 warships. By 2030, the work on which is going in the Chinese naval dockyards day and night. If we come back a little earlier, 2027 is the time when China has decided to modernize its army. If we come back a little more earlier, on 20th March this year, China completed the construction of Cox's Bazar naval base in Bangladesh. What we had been hearing for decades that China is planning to encircle India by the sea route through the String of Pearls. Well, the Chinese planning is complete because now they have full control over Gwadar port in Pakistan, Hambantota port in Sri Lanka, and the Cox's Bazar port in Bangladesh. If we go a little back, 2021, Pakistani army officers started getting posted to the Western Theater Command of China, which is Xinjiang. Foreign armies do exercises together, they send their personnel for courses, but they never post their officers in the others' headquarters. This is a big thing. And the same year, China laid a direct optical fiber cable from their Central Military Commission to the general headquarters of the Pakistan Army in Rawalpindi for unhindered communication. So these timelines clearly show that India is heading for a 2.5 front war in 2035. And hence, our preparedness has to be of that order, which it is also. We have taken various steps and we are also working towards that. Now, the second part of your question comes about airstrikes. Well, airstrikes are a good way to, weed out the non-state actors, but in entirety, the non-state actors can never be weeded out till the time they enjoy the support of the government of the nation from where they are operating in. Because uh, giving you the example of the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict, since 2007, when Hamas started, ruling Gaza Strip after an election, 5 times Israel has attacked the Gaza Strip. And this is the second major strike going on. The first major strike was in 2014. That time in 2014, Israel could only destroy 5% of the underground tunnels in the Gaza Strip. That time, the length of the underground tunnels in the Gaza Strip was 100 kilometers. Today, the length is 500 kilometers. So, with each strike that Israel does on the Gaza Strip, the Hamas comes back later more stronger. That is because it has the support of Russia, China, and the Arab nations. The same is the case with the Pakistani terrorists. We may do Uri surgical strikes, we may do Balakot airstrikes. For some time, the terrorists get suppressed, but eventually they bounce back because they have the full support of Pakistan and China. So this problem has to be solved at a much higher level, and the much higher level is only when, like, I again come to my basic point, when the three major geopolitical powers of the world, that is USA, Russia, and China, decide that yes, there should be no more bloodshed either in Israel or in India. But these three countries will never would want that, because for them business is important, and business, even at the cost of bloodbath, doesn't matter to them as long as their cash registers are ringing.
Completely agree with you, sir. Like all these three nations are more focused on how towards like how they can make much more profit rather than all the bloodshed that is happening in the world. Another question from my side, sir. Like we have seen a rise in the availability and usage of anti-tank weapons that have the potential of destroying billions worth of weapons in one go. Also, like other weapons like air defense system, etc. Like, do you think this changes the dynamic of the modern day warfare, or does it give some advantage to the non-state actors to destroy sophisticated weapons of the opponent at minimal cost?
Harshad, in 2014, the PLA of China in the military doctrine announced that China is ready to fight a war with any nation in any part of the world in all the six domains. And the six domains are land, sea, air, cyber, electromagnetic spectrum, and space. And a small trailer of it we saw on 7th October when Hamas attacked Israel at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. That time, from 6:30 a.m. till 6:50 a.m. for 20 minutes, the entire electromagnetic spectrum of the Israeli Defense Forces was jammed. And the IDF did not know that over 1,000 Hamas terrorists have entered Israel up to 15 miles inside, and they are doing bloodbath. Now, Hamas could not have done this jamming of the entire electromagnetic spectrum alone. It had the support of China, because China is the world leader in cyber, space, and electromagnetic spectrum warfare as on today. This capability even America doesn't have. So this is a sign of how the future wars will be. The future wars will be more deadly and dangerous. The future wars will have a non-kinetic component of a large extent and a kinetic component of a small extent. By the non-kinetic component, I mean like jamming your electromagnetic spectrum or doing cyber attacks. And your kinetic warfare is when soldiers fight face to face. So the non-kinetic warfare will play a major part, and after the non-kinetic warfare is successful for the time it has been planned, then the kinetic warfare will take place for a short time. This, we are seeing it happening the world over. This Hamas thing was just a trailer. The worst is yet to come. So yes, I totally agree with you, Asha, that the future complexion of the war will be very, very different than what we've been reading so far, because their technology will play a major role, and any country which has the latest technology will have the edge in any future war of the world.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. We agree with you. Any kind of increase in technology automatically in this highly technology based world means that you have an upper hand over any other country, which is probably fighting with you with less amount of resources. And that's what makes it more terrible for the countries which have less resources, because then these countries are like more in a situation where they're scared of the upper powers, say Russia, China, and Ukraine as well. And they're pressured in terms of international relations as well. Sir, thank you so much for answering all of our queries ranging from a few basic doubts to some extreme technical doubts about weapons and etc. You talked and you told us about youth in general and how you majorly told us about the principal argument, right? How these people in like youth should focus upon opportunities, should grab them whenever they see, should not be afraid of any kind of facing the problems, should be focused and sincere at the job at any point of time. I think sincerity is important irrespective of what age you hold and what particular job you hold, whether you're thinking about the country in general or whether you're talking about studying in your professor's lecture, etc. I think also the major idea about China, India, Russia, and like the wars we talked about, Israel and Palestine, Hamas, Russia, Ukraine, has enlightened us a lot. Thank you for coming to this interview. Thank you for investing your time, especially 9 a.m. in the morning, enlightening us with all those words and experiences and knowledges that you hold. It has been great pleasure hosting you to our interview, and it will be such a great pleasure for the audience also hearing such great experiences from your side and insights and knowledges, etc. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.